Previously on Silent Hill Revelation. And now, the exciting conclusion. Hello everyone, and welcome back to my own personal hell. My patience wears thin by this halfway point, so forgive me if I'm a little more indulgent in rants and cursing this go around. When we last left our intrepid hero, Heather De Silva, or Mason, or whatever the fuck the movie's deciding to call her, she was on her way to Silent Hill to discover her past, rescue her dad Harry, and her boy toy Vincent, played by Kit. No, I don't know why I'm in this movie either. Harrington. Upon arriving, Heather finds the movie version of Alyssa's mother, Dahlia Gillespie, who, instead of being an evil bitch like in the game, is a frail woman that had Alyssa taken away from her against her will. However, a new character that fulfills the original evil Dahlia's role, named Christabella, was created for the film, so why change her in the first place? Dahlia explains what I already explained in the first video. Alyssa was Magic Girl. Magic Girl can birth God. Magic Girl burn. Magic Girl sent town into unending nightmarish hellscape, thus creating the current demonic Silent Hill. Did I mention the cult is Christian in the movies? I definitely should have by now because it's dumb as hell, it doesn't make any sense. They worship a made-up goat demon named Samael. Why are there crosses everywhere? And why do people wear Christian church clothes? Is it because they think stupid, ignorant Americans will only immediately recognize something as a religion if it resembles Christianity? The iconic Silent Hill siren plays, which signals the change to the other world. The twisted, rusty, and distorted version of reality brought on by Alyssa's curse. What sort of horrible abominations could Heather encounter in this unforgiving domain? Fucking stop that! Stop the pointless jump scares. Jesus Christ. Someone in the audience is gonna have a heart attack from this stupid crap. It's startling, not scary. Learn the difference, horror writers. It's your job. Want to know how easy it is to jump scare someone? Go up to anyone. Go ahead. Literally anyone who hasn't seen you yet. And scream in their ear! Congratulations. You're now a modern horror designer. Better open up a studio and shovel out awful shit for a few years. Blumhouse. Oh my. I wonder if one of these mannequins will come to life and attack her. This movie is so great at subtlety and build-up. Man, will the scares ever end? Turns out this section of Silent Hill is for turning people into mannequins. Not like freezing them in place like House of Wax or something, or Cronenberg body horror stuff. No, they're just plastic dolls now. Alyssa's torture is getting less and less interesting, if I'm being honest. For a girl who was burned alive and suffered for 7 years, you think she'd come up with something a little more violent and inventive? Like maybe making monsters that slowly and painfully rip off people's limbs one by one, blend it into a liquid paste, and power inject it behind your fucking popped out eyeballs? You know, something. Heather saves some new girl before being forced to run away by another poorly designed monster. This is, Mannequin Monster? That's the only name I could find for this thing. It's a collection of pristine white mannequin parts that, while a cool idea, is ruined by its design and execution. I return to the fact that the CG in this film is a complete mess. CG should be an illusion, and I do not buy for even a second that this thing exists in the movie's world. It's too clean, too untextured, there's no blood or dirt or depth to any of it. The egregious 3D lunge towards the screen that completely breaks immersion doesn't help either. When its head splits open, it looks kinda like the split head boss from Silent Hill 3, but looking on par with PS2 graphics from 2003 is just not acceptable. Fun fact time again. This enemy isn't even original. It appears to be based on Scarlet, a boss from Silent Hill Homecoming. Scarlet is also a mannequin monster that moves like a spider, but unlike the Revelations creature, Scarlet is actually kind of intimidating and creepy looking. Not one of my favorite monsters, but still kind of neat. Its porcelain surface cracks as you fight it, revealing flesh and bone underneath. You know, just in case you needed another reminder that even the mediocre Silent Hill games are far better than this movie. Yes, even Book of Memories. I mean it. Back in the film, Heather escapes the mannequin, and unsurprisingly, the random girl gets dragged away. How sad. The scene cuts away, and... Did you think something was going to happen with that monster? Oh, you seem to have forgotten what movie we're watching, friend. I'm serious. It never comes back. It's gone for the rest of the movie. The scene cuts away to Vincent and Harry having a lovely chat with Claudia Wolf, Vincent's mom and our resident crazy cultist for today. Vincent stands up for Heather, trying to convince the Order that she isn't an evil reincarnation of Alessa, but since the Order wouldn't be a very good bunch of insane Satan worshippers if they listened to reason, they completely ignore Vincent and toss him in the asylum. Heather, conveniently enough, arrives at the asylum in the very next scene. What a stroke of luck. I'd tell you what happens for the next 5 minutes, but the answer is jump scares and nothing, so I won't be wasting your time with any of it. Eventually, we end up at Leonard Wolf's cell for the only scene in the whole movie I think is good. Sure, it's only like 2 minutes of a 90-minute movie, but I'll take anything at this point. I like the lighting and the shots, I like the dialogue, and I really like the performance of this guy playing Leonard here. But, alas, the eternal truth of our existence rears its ugly head once more to remind us that like love, happiness, and your tolerance for my endless bitching, good things do not last. Heather stands up to Leonard and... Oh, what the hell's happening here? She's got her gun out? Oh, she's gonna take down this crazy old fart. Atta girl, Heather. Maybe this movie's about to take a turn. Maybe they were just building up to Heather going from a sensitive, cowardly teenager into the badass she's supposed to be. Maybe... So, while Heather's being taken away by Leonard, he somehow just lets her reach into his glowing final boss type chest cavity and easily removes the seal of Metatron. Like, it's not attached in any way, it's just sort of floating in there. For some reason, this kills him and makes him dissolve into dust. Why? Well, there's no explanation for this, and it's not set up at all. So I'm gonna go with the writers realized there was no way for Heather to escape from a giant monster who was just established to be capable of wrecking her shit. And she also needs to have the seal, so he just goes poof! Back to our usual fare of walking in silence to set up jump scares, and yep, there we go. Small thing I noticed, when these prisoners show up, there's this terribly 80-yard line of a woman that plays over the other voices and sound effects. Here, listen. I think it's supposed to be Heather, but I can't see her mouth move at all. And if it's Heather, why is her voice so loud and prominent when she's in the background below all the screaming prisoners? You can call this nitpicking if you like, but I call it adding to the pile. Oh great. It's Pyramid Head. The stupid buff version. Yay. Next scene. Oh, jeez, what the hell is that? Are you guys seeing this? The screen keeps flashing, like someone's shining a light on it, even when Heather's clearly not pointing her light at the screen. Is the movie finally making me go blind? What is this? My rapidly deteriorating eyesight aside, Heather sees some Order soldiers taking away Vincent and presumably follows them. That's what I assume because, you know, the scene just cuts away abruptly to a room filled with bubblehead nurses. I'd complain about them reusing another Silent Hill 2 monster, but considering they probably would have fucked up horribly if they tried an original design, I'm gonna let this one slide. They also behave like the mannequins from Silent Hill 2, and that they stay perfectly stationary until you get too close. Hell, maybe this is a Silent Hill 2 movie and I just didn't realize it. The Order soldiers wheel Vincent into the room and are killed by the nurses in less than 30 seconds, despite being armed and trained to deal with them, leaving a trapped Vincent strapped to a table. Heather arrives, having snuck into the room somehow without causing the nurses to react to her. The following scene almost made me literally scream at my monitor. Vincent and Heather are both aware that movement and sound attract the nurses, so want to take a guess what they do? If you guessed slowly and carefully remove Vincent's restraints, then tiptoe out of the room, congratulations. You forgot this is a horror movie, and everyone in a horror movie is a blithering retard who secretly wants to die. They quickly and loudly rip off Vincent's bonds and very nearly die in the process. How much time left? 25 minutes? Fuck me. We return to the start of our adventure, Lakeside Amusement Park. our pair of protagonists are surrounded by brethren soldiers. Vincent, in an act that makes no sense whatsoever, tells Heather to be safe before kissing her and running into the open to draw the Order's attention. That's a cool thing for him to do and everything, but that's not why this scene makes no sense. What makes no sense is these characters falling in love with each other. They have shared roughly 15 total minutes of screen time, give or take. They have no common interests, unless you count starring in terrible video game adaptations. I know it's a horror movie, and movies in general have trouble with realistic relationships, but I feel absolutely no chemistry between these two characters whatsoever. Heather just seems annoyed by Vincent at all times, and only appears to bring him along because he knows about Silent Hill. Back in the happiest place on Earth, there's another part that genuinely subverted my expectations. Remember this Robbie costume that jump-scared Heather at the start of the movie? Well, the same shot happens now, but this time, nothing happens. I will admit, that was a clever little misdirect. And I fucking take it back. See? I can't even compliment this garbage. Heather goes to the happy carousel like before and once again encounters the memory of Alessa, the only Silent Hill 3 monster in this whole movie, unless you count the missionary and Leonard, who look completely different anyway. Instead of having a cool multi-stage boss fight like the game, they just sorta hug it out. The message here is also the exact opposite. In the movie, Heather accepts that she and Alessa are the same person and merges with her, sorta like a dark mirror or something, and just acknowledging that they're the same destroys her. This would fit if it weren't for the fact that Heather doesn't really struggle with any sort of personal identity issues throughout the movie. Nothing about her feeling like Alessa or anything like that. Not overtly, anyway. In the game, Heather defeats Alessa, who leaves a message explaining how she felt, saying that the only way she thought she could stop God's resurrection and the ensuing agony was to kill herself. After reading it, Heather explains to her that while they are technically the same soul, they are separate people with separate thoughts, as Heather had decided to tackle the problem head-on rather than taking the coward's way out. Heather arrives. Take a shot for every time I've started with Heather arrives at a place. I swear these scenes have zero flow and she just warped from set to fucking set. Heather arrives at the Cool Kids Club secret meeting, where we get more time with the worst actor in the whole movie. I didn't bring it up earlier, but everything about Claudia in this movie is terrible. Her hair, her clothes, her dialogue, her awkward, flat acting. She's just the worst. Listen to this line delivery.
That you are here, finally. You have delivered us.
I have done nothing for you.
You have done everything. We cannot go. The God can only be born through your flesh.
Could it be any more stilted and weird? Heather uses the Seal of Metatron to reveal Claudia's true form, which is the missionary? Whatever. For those who don't know, the Seal of Metatron shows up in a couple Silent Hill games, but for one reason or another never does anything. So the movie just sort of made up something about it revealing someone's true form. Before Heather is completely wrecked by knife hands here, she's suddenly saved by... Okay. What is about to happen is so stupid, so pandering, and so unbelievably devoid of logic that I struggle for something to say. I want you to watch this. I need you to watch this. I need you to understand why or how I could be so angry at something as stupid and pointless as a piece of entertainment. Why am I being so harsh and overdramatic about something that doesn't matter when there's important things like poverty and hunger and war in this world? Because this is an insult. This is a group of executives, crew workers, and actors who could not give less than one fuck about the quality of this product and slap the Silent Hill name on it so people would see it. There is no vision here. There is no artistic integrity here. There is no respect here. The Room is a better movie than this. Birdemic is a better movie than this. Because at least those had creators with a vision, even if their vision was garbage. Silent Hill Revelation is not a movie. It is a product designed to make money on Halloween. That's it. They had the balls to end this movie on two separate cliffhangers to set up for sequels. At the end of the movie, Harry walks back into Silent Hill to find his wife Rose from the first film, while Heather and Vincent hitchhike with a trucker named Travis Grady. He's from Silent Hill Origins, but he does nothing here whatsoever. Then, the last shot is of a prison bus driving into Silent Hill, attempting to set up a sequel that presumably would have used the story of Silent Hill Downpour. And that, ladies and gentlemen, was Silent Hill Revelation. I've wanted to talk about this movie for years now, and just finally got around to it. There's no flow to the story whatsoever. This movie honestly feels like how they're wandering between a series of random sets while other characters occasionally appear to dump exposition. The ending is a giant fuck you moment where they couldn't think of a conclusion, so Pyramid Head sword fight. The CG looks 10 years behind the time this movie was made. It's got that gimmicky 3D crap to draw in as many clueless people as possible. 80% of the scares consist of pop scares, the other 20% is pointless gore. Neither of these things are scary, and they compromise all the horror in the movie. And all that doesn't even begin to bring in how awful of an adaptation it is of the games. I spent a good portion of these videos explaining all that. Listen, this thing has a 7% on Rotten Tomatoes. Need I remind you that the Emoji Movie, as of this review, is sitting at a 10%. So, I decided it would be a fun way to end this if we took a glance at the only 4 positive reviews of this movie on the website. Here's what I found. It's one of the better video game adaptations, up there with the original Silent Hill and, Doom? Being the best video game adaptation is kinda like being the least rusted needle under a dirty bridge, if I'm being honest. While Silent Hill Revelation 3D may not allay your hankering for a solid story, it'll definitely satisfy your bloodlust. Okay, this one openly says the story is crap, but it's okay because it has gore. No. That's the attitude that's ruining a lot of movies. Gore isn't scary in 2017 if you're over age 10. Stuff like Mortal Kombat sells millions of copies. No one is frightened by someone getting their arm chopped off anymore. We're desensitized to it. As far as subliterate, incomprehensible pieces of garbage are concerned, Silent Hill Revelation 3D is one of the year's best. This one confuses me as he openly calls the movie irredeemable shit, then gives it a 6 out of 10? I didn't click to find out more, but I have to assume that either this guy's trolling or he's a complete idiot. Perhaps both. He's from Screen Crush, which apparently, from what I gather, is more of a clickbait top 10 list website than a review site. I could be wrong, but I'm not going there to check. This movie is highly stylized, beautifully rendered in spots, but a narrative mess. Fans of the game and the previous movies should love this. Harrington and Clemens are future stars. Now, I'm gonna rip on this review, but it's absolutely nothing personal against the person who wrote it at all. I'm sure they're a good person in real life. This review just struck me in a weird way that I need to talk about. Now then, this review can only be from someone who knows nothing about anything they're saying. What do I mean by that? Well, it sounds like they half paid attention during a casual watch of the movie, then wrote a review because their boss made them. Like, having an opinion is fine, but you have to be informed. For the record, my shitty opinion doesn't mean anything, but at least I tend to know what I'm talking about. Then there's this bit about how fans of the past movies and games should like it, which means she knows nothing about Silent Hill and just said that because she noticed Silent Hill was a brand name and assumed people who liked the games would like this garbage. You know, like the people who made the movie. She also says previous movies with an S, which means she thinks there's more than one to this movie franchise than the 2. And she also writes game, singular. You can say these are grammatical errors if you want. That's entirely possible, I guess. She also says that Harrington and Clemens will be future stars. Well, Kid Harrington, yeah, that was a good prediction. But this girl... Hold on. Gotta look her up on IMDb. Adelaide Clemens. Yeah, no on that one. Well, that's about the end of the road, everyone. Thanks for joining me on this final journey through Silent Hill, no matter how unpleasant it may have been. It's not looking likely we'll ever see another piece of Silent Hill media again, much less a good one. Unless Konami folds and someone purchases the rights, I guess. But for the foreseeable future, this is goodbye. The best horror franchise of all time peters out with a shitty whimper of a movie. It's kind of sad when you think about it. But, you know, even if we never return, I enjoyed my stay in this quiet little resort town. Let's look fondly back at that welcome sign as we drive away one final time.